for day 7 and last in our series of fantastic books, Dharma Bums by Jack Kerouac. And now I know there's more of a pushback against him these days because he was a product of his time and the focus was very much on men and not on women, and he ended up as a drunk, angry Catholic. But he did work very hard to master his craft and be able to write on the road in just a couple of days and to just let the jazz poetry flow out of him. I think it's easy for us to forget how special his work was when it came out. A little bit like Hemingway or Eliot's Wasteland, it just wasn't like anything before. It's been so imitated that it's hard to remember. It was really special when it came out. But he had a lot of trouble getting published in the very beginning. But so many of his books seem like they were backwards looking, or looking at that time, the 50s. On the Road is the book of the 50s. What makes Dharma Bums so special, and why it's the book of his closest to my heart, is it was looking forward to the 60s. Dharma Bums focuses on J.F. Ryder, who is the stand-in for his friend Gary Snyder. This is a young Gary Snyder. He was always a poet, but he was also a man of the mountains and the outdoors and of physical things. Some of the book is about him and Jack Kerouac being out in the woods watching for forest fires as forest rangers. And that was a great job for them. They could sit there with their books. So he was both very intellectual, but also very much into ecology and the outdoors, and presaging something that's going to become very important in the 60s. As a young man, he palled around with the Beats, and a number of them got interested in Zen Buddhism. But Gary Snyder was one who really became a true scholar. And by 1955, he was applying to go to Japan to study more deeply, but the State Department denied his passport because he was alleged to be a communist. But he actually won a lawsuit and got the right to go and study, way before this was becoming very popular in the zeitgeist. And so he was one of the key people in bringing back both the poetry and the thinking of China and Japan to the United States, and laying seeds that would later blossom in the 60s. As he wrote in his 1961 essay, Buddhist Anarchism, the mercy of the West has been social revolution. The mercy of the East has been individual insight into basic self-void. And so he advocated using means such as civil disobedience, outspoken criticism, protest, pacifism, voluntary poverty, and even gentle violence. He defended the right of individuals to smoke ganja, eat peyote, be polygamous, polyandrous, or homosexual, which he saw as being banned by the Judeo-capital Christian Marxist West. And so he was, since the 60s actually started in 1963, he was there laying out the ideas way before any of that started. And that's what makes Dharma Bums such a cool book. And the coolest of all is, he's still alive. So many of those other ones died who focused on alcohol and on things like that. He focused first on some gentle psychedelics and ganja, and then on Buddhism to get there in a nicer, safer way. And he's still here with us, sharing his wisdom. It's beautiful.